everybody. Hello. You can keep chit-chatting if you want, but I would like to get started because it's been a long day for me already. I don't know about the rest of you. So, welcome this evening. We're glad you're here this evening to join us for our this is our second community meeting on the Rail Yard and Harbor Master Plan. I'm Katie Nunez. I'm the Director of Planning and the Zoning Administrator for the Town of Cape Charles. I'm actually going to turn the floor over to Catherine Redfern from the Berkeley Group, who we have partnered with for assisting us with doing this planning process. Just to make you aware, we are also live streaming this meeting, and we have it available as a Microsoft Teams meeting. So we're going to have some participation from others who are not in the room. So occasionally if you hear another sound of like, where's that voice coming from? It's the computers in the back talking to us. So, Catherine, you're up.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you all for your time this evening. Like Katie said, this is the second public workshop we've had today. We had a great turnout at noon, great conversation, and we've got great turnout right now, and I'm hoping for also great conversation. The way this is going to work, I've got a brief presentation that will cover kind of the process for updating the comprehensive plan, kind of our expectations, and then after I'm done talking, everyone's going to get up. We're going to circulate around the room. We have 3 stations, 3 maps, and 3 kind of activity posters where you can log your responses to questions we have. And after we're done with that, we'll come back together as a group and kind of talk about what we saw, what we heard, and hopefully have some other ideas that we can share as a group. So, if my controls will work, here we go. So yeah, we're here. My name is Catherine Redfern, Berkeley Group. We've partnered with the Town of Cape Charles to help you all update your map or create a master plan for the rail yard and harbor area of the town. Our purpose tonight is we'll go over the purpose and outcomes of the master plan, kind of why we're here, what we're doing. We'll talk about how else you can be involved in this process other than the meetings today, and then we'll break for those mapping exercises, which I mentioned. All right, so let's start with what is the master plan. So as I said, we're working with you all. We've partnered with the town, with the community to help you all develop a master plan focusing on this 50-plus acre former rail yard site in the harbor area of the town. And in particular, how the redevelopment, reinvestment, and improvement of this area can benefit the community as a whole. The master plan itself will be a document that's adopted by your town council. It's a document much like a comprehensive plan or other planning documents that town council might adopt to help guide future decision making for the area, for the site. It'll guide decision making, it'll guide coordination with other partners, investment in the site, really also while allowing for some flexibility as conditions and opportunities change. The planning process, as you see on the slide here, brings together 3 different avenues of information. The first is technical analysis of site conditions. The next is the economic and market profile of the site and the community as a whole. And then community priorities as gleaned from community input. So from you all tonight and from other meetings. And we bring these 3 avenues of information together to form a shared framework or plan for the area. This process will include mapping and site analysis, stakeholder and public engagement, concept drafting and testing, really to understand what's possible and what's appropriate for the site and the town. The planning horizon for this plan is 10 to 20 years, meaning we're planning on incremental change, right? This isn't going to happen overnight. So we'll be making recommendation for strategies and for projects that will be phased over the next 5, 10, 15 plus years. The final deliverable will be a clearly illustrated master plan that illustrates the site concept as well as input and context, so what we hear from you all, what we hear from the data analysis and research that we're doing, as well as some action strategies or implementation guidance. So how are we going to get from point A to point B? So I want to talk a little bit about what the concept plan is, and you see an example of a concept plan on the screen here. A concept plan is it's the key element to the master plan. It's a graphic element. And this graphic element, which you can think of as kind of a conceptual site plan, is supported by technical analysis and the implementation strategies. This plan is developed based on community vision. So what we hear from you all through the surveys, through the meetings tonight, through other discussions, is a big picture framework that shows graphically how different uses, how different public spaces, how different access points and activity areas could come together and relate on this site. But looking at this, it's not a final design, right? It's not construction drawings, it's not engineering drawings, nor does it approve a particular kind of development or commit the town to a certain timeline for this development. Rather, this is a conceptual drawing that with the associated strategies and implementation documents will help us make recommendations on how the town might update your ordinances, how they might update your land use tools, how you might prioritize investments, and generally serve as a decision-making guide for your town staff and your town officials. Okay, so project schedule and community engagement. I'll take a moment here. Does anyone have a question about what the master plan is, what the concept plan will be, kind of what the final product will be before we talk about schedule? No? Okay. All right. So project schedule. The planning schedule breaks down roughly into 3 phases. Phase 1, which is where we are now, really just at the very beginning of phase 1, focuses on understanding the existing conditions on the site and setting the vision for what we'd like to see on the site. Phase 2 focuses on testing those ideas through draft concepts and public engagement. And then phase 3 will present a finalized plan for your review. So basically saying, here's the plan that we've developed. Did we hear you correctly? What else do we need to consider or change on this document? We formally kicked off the project in early December of this year with a council work session, interviews, and a site visit. And we're in the process of conducting the technical assessment and mapping, as well as the economic profile. We had our first steering committee meeting this morning. We had the first of 2 of the community events listed on our community event and survey number 1 at noon, and here we are now at 6 o'clock. There will be 2 more community engagement events and another online survey, as well as 3 more steering committee meetings before we bring the plan back to the town council, probably in late summer, early fall of 2026. The way we have this schedule arranged, we've got steering committee meetings and community events happening concurrently, and they're in-person events, they're online events, they're surveys, really giving as many people as possible, as many ways as possible to engage in this process. Start to finish, this is about an 11-month process with the final master plan, again, being delivered to the town late summer, early fall of this year. The Steering Committee 3, Community Event 2, and on, these events have not been scheduled yet. We don't have firm dates for these events, but the website that you see at the bottom of the screen is the page that the town has set up for this project. That's where we will post when and where these events will happen in the future. So let's talk about the Steering Committee. So the town has pulled together a steering committee, which is really a working group that brings together town staff, boards, property owners, business and community representatives as the working group who's going to meet regularly to review and proof the documents and the data that we pull together throughout this planning process. They're here to act as our sounding board for concepts before we bring concepts and ideas back to you all, to the public, really helping us ground this plan, the planning process, and the work that we produce kind of in the priorities and values of the community. But the backbone of community engagement is you all. I like to say that community engagement is the backbone of any good planning process, and this one is no different. We have a firm community engagement plan designed for the master planning process. And it's designed to be an ongoing conversation, right? It's not a one-time meeting, it's not a one-time survey. We've got meetings, we've got surveys, we've got ways to talk to staff and to talk to us at key decision points along the way, so that public input really actively shapes the work as we're moving forward for this master plan. Phase 1 of community engagement, which again is where we are now, focuses on values, vision, and priorities before any concepts are developed. Phase 2, which is scheduled to happen in the spring of this year, so probably late April, early May, shifts to reacting and refining to draft ideas, so allowing you all to respond to visuals of what buildings might look like, what the building form, shape, character, and specific uses on the site might look like. And then phase 3, which is slated for roughly summer of this year, we'll present again that draft plan, the full draft plan, where we ask you, here's the plan, did we hear you correctly? What else needs to be adjusted? What else needs to be added? Etc. Again, throughout each of these phases, we have in-person events paired with online engagement options. So we've got a handful of people joining us virtually. We've got you folks here in person. And then we also have online surveys. So hopefully you all picked up one of the small half-sheet flyers. That's a survey that you can take home. You can fill out that survey. You can send it on to your friends, family, coworkers. Make sure that they filled that out as well. If there's someone else joining online. And in addition to those community events, like I said, we have steering committee meetings. And these committee meetings are, again, essentially a place before and after public engagement milestones. So really we have this continuous feedback loop between you all, the general public, the steering committee, the staff, making sure that we're drafting a plan that really fits the town of Cape Charles. Okay, there we are. Questions? Are there questions about process? What the purpose of the plan is, or the process for developing the plan? So I'm going to ask you all to stand up and move around the room after this. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. What we'd like to do from here is, again, everyone's going to get up and they'll be able to move around the room. We have 3 stations set up in the room. So there's a map in the front corner here, and then 2 maps in the back corners. And each of these maps addresses a different topic related to the site. You'll see the maps have some information on them, and then along with each map is another poster that has some questions. And those are the questions that we're asking you all to answer for us tonight. Yes, Katie?
Could we just kind of orient everybody as to railroad property versus other private ownership property, just so everybody has the same information? Would that be just
Sure.
walk through the map once?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can do that. I'll pull up one of the maps I have digitally.
There are a lot out there
Yep.
this morning, maybe we can clear
Yeah,
that out.
head that off. Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what we'll do is after you kind of on your own make your way around each of these stations, we'll come back together as a group and look at the responses and have a group conversation. But to Katie's point, let's look. I'm not sure which is the best map to look at here. They're all kind of small on this screen. But Katie was talking about ownership. So this is the study area, or a portion of the study area. And the black line is the study area for the rail yard and harbor. And then within the study area, there are multiple parcels of land with different owners, right? So in this pink corner of the top, that's Mr. Kemp's property. This project site area, potential development pod A, that's the majority of the rail property. And then you've got development pod C, B, and then on down to the concrete plant. And each of these has, again, different owners and different parcel lines. So what we're aiming to do here is really set a vision for what you would like to see for the site as a whole. We're not thinking about who owns it, who might own it. We're thinking about all of that aside, what do we as a community, what do we want this site to look like? So really putting ownership and parcel boundaries aside, what would be highest and best use for the community? What would it look like? Okay, I'm going to skip back a couple of slides for our folks who are online. So here is where you get up and you get to look at these maps in detail. And I will be stationed at a map. We'll have other staff people at maps, so you can ask us questions. If you don't understand what the map is showing you, we can answer those. But you can hop up, you can grab markers, you can grab sticky notes, and get to work. It was. I think I should. It doesn't matter. Yes, so this map is showing access and one thing that
Back here is part of this is when this gets developed. What streets you can still leave that park. You can travel the railroad, you can still put trails there.
And so the question here is understanding that we can't put there for
Do you have
then what is the
priority list for thought process out? Talked about all of them, some of them, all of them, we have priority which ones over the others. So again, going through, we've identified some of the options and constraints, which one?
Yes, that's right. Right. Here's the orange dashed line is the national project that's going out. B here, this is, so there's a community trails connection, development supposed to come down, plan to come down Bay, that's come this way, that's what B is referring to. C is referring to which development. At this point, I identified trail connection.
We threw that out as an early days is, because again, everybody focused on the implementations in and then that big come along and still depend on. I guess we're gonna ask you to also look at it as ranking process. You said that it is.
When you were talking policy, you were talking about bridge
Should that conversation, I'm not saying it's gonna go away.
Depends upon
For our revision, but there may be lots of trying to get the.
This green oblong sheet, it's just diagrammatic. It's circling and then what used to be the rail lines that came through the site. And the rail company pulled up the rail lines.
So again, there are some real
On that
constraints.
parcel of land, so 60 feet on either side of the.
So again,
For
yeah,
example,
the development in the.
I think the potential development of Hot Bay would be a great mixed use. So you have commercial on the bottom, potential residential above, so that we're trying to accommodate
Yeah,
very consistent, trying to be more like Mason Avenue, that's a blending of those kind of things. I think that's
So we
very
have,
important, but not
we have this map
necessarily.
illustrating some of these issues and these opportunities
It
and
will
a
have
series
its
of
portion, but
questions
not
here. So
that.
the first one has to do
That's
with
more.
understanding
That's
that you can't put things
So
there.
that
What
would
will
be
be your
just what we're trying
priority?
to guide.
How do you use that space? Is it trails, is it parking, is it parks and rec? Is it something we haven't thought of?
That might be natural ones.
You know, where in the harbor area of public space or open spots Wall Street is appropriate?
But not,
I was gonna say, not an
Boardwalk,
well, in the city.
and then generally,
Recreation activities would be, again, there might be some challenges, so we pull that across.
and then where would you like to see paths?
How that would factor into that is
Potential connections, so may create the rail trail project, which is there, yes, gravel marker, and throw out speed sheets, so do we continue that into the site?
So I've done.
Or is there something else?
But either around today's markers or preferences, and we'll look at starting.
So you all can feel free to have the markers,
Which one do you think make the most sense?
check marks on the survey, sticky notes.
Or again,
Let us know your thoughts.
post-its, or just.
That's to be-
Well, not restricted access, but we can develop on top of it.
Because this
Nothing
is
permanent.
just trying to orient
A
myself
road
to
to
what
road, but open
this
space.
is coming around
But
this
it
pull-up sign.
has to be something like
Right
a railroad.
now, this is where the problem is that a lot of that
It's called rail bank.
is the Fridays or some kind of dock there. But
All railroads are
All
all.
ways
You're
you could.
gonna see this in the other stations as well. There is a.
It's used for the water, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So it could be parking, it could be road, it could be open space, that
There is a, so I'm referring to the community trail, there is a plan for a community trail that will go off the mess into space here, but come down through the site, so it's basically creating
It goes up and kind of comes up through.
It's in your rails, the trail starts. Going all the way out, the other end.
Yeah.
This is like the baseball field.
This is the sheet.
I'm assuming they're gonna do
it's kind of,
a lot of things are written down right now. So. Yeah.
I guess what I'm Rose's ideas are in light of activity.
Well, the question is, does this impact getting rid of the hump? So you get rid of the hump, permanent trail should be over.
Yeah, is that what it
So
is?
is that-
Okay. So what happens if, for example,
I think it
Yeah.
kind of goes hand in hand that
well,
if
for
we get a
boardwalk
development
opportunity,
that wants to have
The hump is obviously a
commercial
barrier.
development,
conflict with
grant
honesty.
development.
Right.
How do you
and
get
that's
into
what we're also asking you all.
So right now, we're
You
saying,
got rid of
how do you get over
the
your
restriction
mark?
beyond.
It's that you go up the hump,
They
get a car.
back and forth.
Go up the hump,
for you, but
around,
she's saying,
sorry, I'm
if
going
you
all the way.
really want everybody
That's
to
how you go back to the rain, I just now with this like,
Oh, yeah.
that great.
It's not really,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, so
Yeah, who
when
makes
you
it
think
for
about it,
that?
how you actually get it back.
Yeah.
take it over.
And that was
Yeah,
always
I
the
think-
about asking.
I think we should,
There are a lot of different groups.
we shouldn't be saying about.
I agree.
No, I get it, so morality
But I
is.
said that the likelihood is like
Right now, we're in
contrast.
restaurants. What do you all charge?
It is something that I don't think we should be restricted by.
And at the end of the day,
It's like,
we're
yeah,
just saying,
it's
well,
like-
we're moving it like this, because they own the property.
I think that could
I
actually.
mean, look at it's not that bad.
And
So
this,
not just
like,
this,
simply
but
one
we
person
can actually
should
bring
be
this way, but
one side.
I don't want to cut this in half.
Underneath it,
Those on both sides. And
Um,
yet part of that is you'll
that
see
would
What are
it's
some
better
types of
as
development you like?
delineated.
Maybe we just do it today, pot A, what do you
Yeah,
think?
You tell me, I mean, there, it seems to me you were right about.
So it's partially being used now in concert.
Down here.
Town is not owned, the majority of the land around it. The only thing that the town owns.
Oh, you mean when they're doing the, chamber fest?
Well, just think that this is gonna be purchased by
Town
the
owns that.
It's always gonna
Everything
be
else
developed.
is still owned by the railroad.
Concert truck, great money.
Yeah.
Well, question, I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, like, do you think it's important that we block off some or do concert areas?
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, it's
But there's all things that you say.
filling in.
Don't
Yeah, I guess
forget
it's
that.
important, yeah. So I could-
We had a great,
I mean, because
same
I think
afternoon,
some sort of development like that
scribbled
here.
all over, so I want you to all
I
over.
don't know yet, they will be selling at some point, I don't know if it's done on a mass sale, and land, subdivided, because right now, anything you see on that, is parcel.
There's a lot of stuff.
There is, and we've talked about it.
There you go, right in. I love it.
Don't worry, gentlemen, I got it. So,
Well, that's part of this planning process, we're trying to set, what do we want to see this development kind of look like, this area look like?
Retail,
So
residential.
that would help the developer figure out, this is what we go we've now heard, so we're not just trying to. You'd be okay with that.
Yeah, so Strawberry Street now has that plaza, and then Peach Street is a boulevard, meaning it's got a median down the middle. And so, which is most, if we're talking about, increasing.
Stone Road is not, Stone Road is not.
Which of those might be most,
Again, that's why.
and then maybe
so
so,
your suggestion for
which is most appropriate.
entertainment, venue site, in
Sort of, I mean, voting, fee might be.
More residential use,
These
more
parks,
light
right,
industrial.
and
Oh, wait, we want to make sure we have entertainment space, so we can hold this
Would work people out.
concerts and do some
I
of
think,
the park.
I would add
That's
that
all the
we,
things that we're asking
like
you guys to
industrial,
think about and tell us.
so that we can tie in the harbor, the working harbor and the industry that we can attract, that seems to be
That's it.
a better place than
This is something I want to.
light industrial boats, marine related businesses. Manufacturing. Imagine if we could actually oyster.
Well,
you still do when you're putting that plan together.
With that green.
That's the same thing happened
I
last
like
time.
the idea of that being a park.
Not to interrupt the discussion,
Working with somebody else, the bigger concern is policemen know that there are
We should be focused
on that route, so we get them to
pedestrian balls and pedestrian
morning section needs to be allowed to
often have parallel and more, you go to residential sides. And then once the thing we come is communities, there's regular conditions are.
Yeah, that is
Parking's up to 2 o'clock,
the who's
Fridays. Yeah,
I mean, that's a
town
little-
square really. It's
It
behind
is
where the rail car is. And parking over there. Come on in, everybody.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not suspecting you.
So, any other
They don't need those roads, do they?
thoughts?
Your taxes.
So what do you like to see?
It was part of the deal to bring it here. It's cold.
Just laying right on your feet.
So we had 3,000 people skate parks. Full time.
So can you define that when you say redevelopment? Oh,
Sorry, I just hold on. Right, so like, all of parts of this is, do you envision the and that's kind of where it is this where the basketball
That's right. Soccer fields, basketball, baseball fields. I mean, it's already ready to go.
like
Housing.
recreational
Do you guys
But
think
the
the
housing
movie
and
Steel
recreation
again?
is pod C.
Yeah. Big space.
I mean, I'm bringing this up.
Yeah, recreation slash
You guys get closer.
but housing, not the housing.
You don't even see there, we don't have that.
Well, I think that's the thing, like everyone has had their opinion.
Yeah,
They're just gonna put it in their budget, but Kevin's gonna make it whatever. He's already grandfathered and everything else.
it's what we're doing. It's not.
Would that be accounting for some commercial? You know, you don't, he does commercial and then you do commercial in the city. It's a lot.
But I mean,
Well, not so much commercial, it's more hotels
Yeah, these are people's ideas, that's a good point.
if you want to see housing in A, then single family housing versus second story housing.
Single
You
family.
want a fair square, like,
Walmart.
but you don't have to agree, I'm just writing down what you say. Just depends. I think that discussion was happening on one of the other ones, where there's like, I just saw it on there.
Around the whole, 2.5 mile walk.
So we could say,
But
like,
you can still add, maybe you want some sort of recreational paths, walking here with
So if there are
coding should be in there.
obviously, the connections to storage now, the connections to.
Yeah, you're right, it should be A, B, C, walk field. Complimentary.
accessibility here. Like
What about amenities? Family friendly amenities. That's important.
So it means that there are some activities of commercial that we should say around on the C1 side of Mason Avenue. So we want this to be commercial.
Where,
I understand, but to suggest that as something
We also want to make sure the possible
collaborate, it doesn't have to be really permanent structures that are hard to not do it anymore, but other
No,
kinds
not
of
at this point in time, as a
amenities. It seems to be
township.
that walking they close to the beach.
Cape Charles,
So to just set up that way.
Well, but from there on there, shuffleboard.
See a bullet.
So I will say this long way around, you're just walking around in a circle, like used to look at
Yeah, any idea at all?
we're not near, we just, if you wanted to.
The red property there, I've already
Off
seen
the map of the corner out there.
two
Shows
concepts
you
that were
see exactly.
like
So we went,
this
it's
close
the
to
same.
where you were running anyway, in St. Paul. They both were. Oh, yeah. I just wish I
In pod A, B, or C, do you want like heights? Nothing more than a two-story. You okay with 10 stories?
A should be, we're only gonna go to the. A should be consistent, A should be consistent with Mason. And then you can sort
This
of.
is going like past where the shops are.
C you could
Like
say.
this is like a little golf cart trail.
Yeah, this is the golf cart trail. So strawberry is right there. This is the Lisa, but
So
strawberry
it is use-based important.
peach is the one that's in the lower.
Well,
There's a median.
zoning for base,
Is this a building that
Well,
no, that's just a consistent zoning with most things that are out of base.
You just had it in A. Just, yeah.
so
It wasn't happy.
So where do we, so we want to incorporate parking along there? Restaurants.
for like A and
Because like right now, we do have the Hook at Harbor that's kind of near the beach. So there's a restaurant.
Right on the map.
Run all the way through. There's no reason it couldn't run all the way down and through the drain. Yeah, that's just an easement. You can pave over that easement. You can pave the easement for the entire thing. Back in there again someday. However, the focus is really that because that's what it's going to be sold to. So we're trying to say, we're going to, let's focus on that. Somebody has to go around.
Well, I would say because of this, if we want to integrate, and then we want to make, like, we're looking at this team over this. Just how do you decide this?
But there's still the next to Shannon over in that area. Waterfront spot. Just that rail road is what they're retaining. The rest of the
Right, the old, yeah. Well, I think this is. Yeah, I think they, sort of restricted in front of the
so it's, you know, I mean, that's the impact.
Right.
Given, so there's other, there's some benefit and some value to keeping it open, obviously.
Well, we're not.
A lot of weapons, they didn't show the weapons. There's a lot of weapons, there's as well.
How much money? Which is the most important? Is that one of the questions you asked? With the setbacks on it, and which is the most important?
Yes.
You take a lot. You can go city block D. Right? I don't know. I mean, if I took my hand, there's a city block right next to there.
Well, I'm glad she
You
does.
better read my writing.
She wouldn't be able to read.
That is my picture.
Absolutely. Put it right on there, I love it.
That's what we're working on right now. This is the airspace.
You should learn more about that Tom Secretary specifically to me.
Yes, there's another survey. But there's a survey now that people can take online. It'll give you the inputs of and ask you the open space, your mixed use, your small business opportunities. What are the things that you think will make sense in this property to start trying to glean what the community. Town council, December.
Well, it could be like what other kinds of tourism, what other things do you want to see come in?
Put a road on the easement? So you could extend. This end here, and come down here, have a
Do you
road.
want a basketball court? Like,
If you have it, you can put a road, you want the parking, the trail by,
to provide things like that?
Okay, so we gotta send this way, and we gotta send this way.
You could put a, you said you could put a boat storage, or you could put a light industrial where people have a yard that they're doing work in, because the yard is not.
So unnecessarily add the road system, because that should have to be active. If
It
somehow.
also makes for nice lodges, people have said you could extend that bike trail all the way down there, and you could put some trees and things along there.
No, it's a permanent easement without condition. Yes.
Is there any?
And I think, I guess part of that,
You're gonna ask me, let's say that you're.
Also, again, here's,
Is it a
Strawberry
priority?
Square, which I think maybe it has.
I know the concrete
Yes,
plan
the
is
Strawberry
important,
goes up that way.
but it's not a pretty expensive world. Trees or something to block the view of the concrete plan.
how does this support that?
Yes, that is an issue. You would have to find the one that's actually over on the east side of the. They're part of our study. So anything you think needs to work to buffer or enhance the site.
But you can't do anything with it without fee residential, they're just gonna do everything.
It's still a master plan. It's still a-
Challenge is anything you put on the other side blocks.
Yeah,
You block the concrete, you block the concrete factory on that side, you block the view of the water.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You have to have business, you have to have housing. So those are two really important things. They're independent, they're both equally important, but you gotta have those components as you think about it. Yes. Oh, so that will still come, but if people who want to live here want amenities, you have to have businesses that are gonna supply for you to want to be here. Drive-through.
Maybe adding another leg to this, maybe it's a better process. Yeah, you know, just seem to be a nice location for medical. Urgent care, it's a close hospital, you have to go north. And, you know, used to be.
So if you're over my house and
We have retired just from Jordan Range.
This is kind of weird meeting. You can use
What's this over here? Where's their plan? It looks like they're part of,
That's Kemp's property.
he's not a part of what we.
He's already grandfathered in, but so we moved, he's looked at a lot of different
They
things.
want medical.
Two of them, they've almost got the game, down to 11th hour. But, and they've been beautiful places, I mean, both of them. Both have now, like, you know,
Both
situations.
hotels.
Except Walmart, Ferris wheel, property.
What's that?
Welcome to Colorado.
Skiers are, we're gonna finish skiers.
He's perfect for the home. Just keep going. Maybe snow cone. Say that.
One of the maps I
First one was
development
actually.
for asking everybody to So where
They also need a really.
that might be a challenge. So at this point, this is process. And so this would be the kind of value.
I don't live in Bay Creek, I don't want to pay depending on that.
Right, so this is the kind of thing that would be town and interested parties. If that's something that we're not saying what this is.
Yeah.
No, but I think.
Well, I want to see, so
This is
something you thought actually on. Like, so you want to see, like, part of this mixed use right now, residential, like,
How are you?
in one piece in particular, or just in general? Actually, outside of
I think you're probably referring to We're gonna put in eggs, that sounds like.
Because that's very important, no structures, all they're gonna have is.
Grocery store.
Oh, I've been in there many times. Around here. That's what.
Depends how big your heart is. Parking lot. How about probably?
So what priorities are on the top?
But
What's feasible?
warehouses.
Yeah, they're not, I'll really inside and out doing this.
So you want to see warehousing?
Well, I would say D.
How do we do on the
BC, yeah, warehouse.
You want warehousing? Question mark? Or you want to do both? I'm just making sure I. Don't want to look like I'm buying seats. So grocery stores, and then did somebody say something else? So like amenities?
There used to be a laundromat, there used to be a dry
I am not and I will say that the master plan process.
Well, I gotta get you. All right.
blue sky. We're not paying yet. We're not paying yet. You know, we're still ordering from the menu. We haven't moved to the building. Well, that's like their land. They're really. Insurance company. Yes, I certainly will.
Yeah, no, I think there has to be somewhere. What's going on? You're almost deciding on the builder, that's one option. I know, the only thing I care about is financial burden. The town would compete with the private sector.
Again, if the railroad kind of pulled back, no, he really
I
wants.
assume this would all be private sector.
Yeah, well, I hope. Yeah, we've seen it go through.
Yeah,
They're supposed to start, he owns that, but he also owns that they're looking at right now to put in some plots.
I think they're in that part. Yeah. Where is it?
I think that part of it is sort of right now it's really not.
And then they came with flat roofs and A-frame roofs on it. Whichever happens.
Oh, right, this is, that's great. All right,
From there,
How was she trying to
right, well, thank you all. We're gonna look at results as a group, maybe have some additional opportunities for input, for questions. We'll start with this, this first map, which you see on the screen, and then the responses are here on this poster. And this map was about connectivity, so how to access the site, which streets should stub through. And the first question we had here was select the streets that you believe would provide the greatest connectivity and benefit to the harbor, and then place a check mark there. And it, by and large, Peach Street looks like it was number 1, followed by Nectarine Street. Does anyone who selected either Peach or Nectarine want to talk about why they selected those streets, what they think the benefit, the connectivity benefit is to the town or the harbor area? Don't be shy.
It naturally goes straight over there.
Pardon?
It naturally goes there, if it already is a double.
Which one? Peach Street? Yep, so Peach Street, I know this is super tiny. Yeah, so there's a natural flow there, both Peach, Nectarine, and then we have some notes here for Plum Street, golf cart path, extend into railroad area to harbor. So continuing that connection rather from Plum Street on down to this easement area. Let's see if I can get my cursor to work. There it is. So this is the easement area. So continuing the connection on down into this easement area, particularly for golf carts. Sounds like pedestrian connections as well. And is that, when you were making your check marks here, it's purposefully vague. Were you thinking pedestrian or automobile connections? What was your perspective? Both.
Depends what's on the end. If it's a pedestrian walkway only, obviously. Depends what the goal is.
What the destination is, yeah.
I thought Strawberry, you were Strawberry Square, right? Continue.
Strawberry.
Walk down there, not cars, obviously.
Yeah, there's already on Strawberry, there's this plaza, pedestrian plaza, so continuing that pedestrian connection on down makes a lot of sense, you're right. All right, the next question here was which key features or landmarks in the town should be better connected to the harbor area, the study area. We've got a lot of Post-it notes referring to the hump. So talk to me about the hump.
People all like it.
Why not?
I don't know,
It's not needed anymore.
it's not needed though.
It's dangerous. I almost hit somebody, they were walking side by side right at that corner going towards Big Creek. I mean, I don't know how they just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
People, people take their bikes and they walk over it and they jog over it and it's dangerous.
You could extend Fig Street straight over and go right to it, so it'd be a natural.
Tuck around the parking lot where the rail track.
That's true, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah.
What about
Yeah, you can't do it straight through with the people.
Hold on, we had, let's not talk over each other. We had a comment over here, someone, sorry, did I call you out, Rick?
That's true, we can do all that.
All right, so the hump has got to go. Is the sentiment from this group? I hear that. All right, the next question here is: are there areas in the harbor that you would like to have greater access to? And I will admit to not being able to read your handwriting. We're working harbor, keep space for commercial fishermen. Access to the inner harbor, some walkable area near the water, and separate area for boat launch. So a lot about kind of how you're accessing the water. So Anyone who left one of those comments want to expand on that? What about the separate area for a boat launch?
It is kind of separate, isn't it?
I think the question that comes to my mind is, as this gets developed, will we need more access? Will more boats be here? Will more people want to
More
be here?
capacity, yeah.
Right. And our area by the harbor is already full, and if it's gonna be a working harbor and boats coming in, are we gonna need more?
You think the harbor is full?
I mean, the parking lot seems to be full.
For the ones being dropped in.
Yeah. I don't know, like, if you
Town
see
harbor
this,
slips are full.
if you see this develop though, isn't that gonna draw more? So, I mean, do what we have, will that meet our need, or we're gonna need more?
Well, the
When it's
person,
very-
go ahead.
when it's very busy, fishing tour, that parking lot is not as full, people are parked outside of the road, boat trailers. So, but that doesn't happen that often.
I think summer weekends you can't get a slip,
Yeah. So seasonally it is.
but it's seasonal.
Yeah.
Now if you want.
The person who bought 8 acres on the harbor is gonna build a motel.
Correct.
That's gonna change a lot because it's too easy.
There's more demand.
Right, yeah, right.
And then if this gets developed more and you have more boating industries come along, because they will, it's gonna become a boating hub, and will we need more access to the water for these other industries?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to explore. Okay, other thoughts about connectivity, access? All right, let's move on to the next. I can hear you. Yes, what's your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize a need for a service room, particularly for the yacht servicing area. When it was operating as a planning operation and it required fuel delivery, those fuel delivery trucks barreled down Mason Avenue. And I don't think we want to have that kind of traffic on Mason. So have you considered providing some kind of service road for that area, particularly perhaps some of the
Yeah.
areas,
Yeah.
the area we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a great point. Were you all able to hear his comment about a service road? Yeah, that's a great point, and I think certainly worth adding to our list to look into. Thank you.
I think it's an excellent point.
Okay. The next map and set of questions had to do with development areas and kinds of development. In this map, I'll just kind of orient you to it. I know you all seen it in person, but it's basically showing 3 key development areas. Area A, up here, basically the old rail yard site. Area B, just south of the rail yard site. And Area C over here, kind of east of the hump. And the question was, which of these should we prioritize for development? And perhaps most importantly, what kind of development should go into each of these areas? What's most appropriate for these areas? And so just naming a few, what you all said was appropriate for Area A, so the old rail yard site closest to Mason Avenue. It's mixed use, retail, residential, open space parking, emphasizing walkability and accessibility. And I like this one, consistent with zoning on Mason, but I think interpreting that consistent with the look and feel, the scale and character of Mason. For Pod B, this area just south of the rail line easement, entertainment venue, somewhere where there's space for people to gather. potentially light industrial or working harbor and marine services. Makes a lot of sense. Again, walkability and accessibility, office, park, and warehousing, and then hotel down here on the bottom. So all things I think that make a lot of sense for where that's located, what it's easily accessible to. And then I'll read the last one and then we can have a conversation. So pod C, the one on the other side of the hump, housing, green space, housing again, walkability and accessibility, someone near and dear to my heart, medical center, urgent care, that's interesting, office park, and warehousing. So reading off that list and kind of how you've geographically spaced them around the site, what are your thoughts? What else comes to mind, or would you like to add to that conversation?
I feel like if you want to attract people to actually live here and not just be temporary, you have to put in things that they would need on a daily basis. Because a lot of people, like in New York, you walk to little grocery stores and stuff like that. We have little grocery stores, we have little things that people can use.
So daily services.
Yes, because that would attract more people to live here.
I didn't mention it, but it's been on my mind, and I just want to throw it out. We have a historic district, and have we thought about, do we want to be planned where we want to see like an arts district, a restaurant district, where we plan and say we want to see the restaurants in this vicinity? But granted, they're all going to be over, but you have a focused section where, like, now's the time to think about that kind of stuff. A marina section, a boat, like we call them districts, and we really target the businesses to go into those districts. Is that something that is, are you interested in things like that? Because that really ties into the zoning of how we think through that too. Entertainment district.
While you're speaking of that in the historic district, there's no way that the historic district can all of a sudden have jurisdiction over this, is there? I know what you're talking about, but I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, God, I hate, if you were talking about a historic district, you don't then say, well, the harbor's been there for 100 years, we think we don't want that.
But those districts would define how you get into them as well, so whether it's pedestrian or golf cart only, you could sort of define them that way. So this is keeping all the restaurants together will make it sort of easier to bring food in, and separating those things. I think it's a good idea. Getting access to this after you add 3 new zones, which one road coming in and one kind of going around the bottom, it's going to be interesting.
Did you say there's already a plan for that pink spot there that's next to the water?
There's no plan yet, it's just privately owned.
Hotel?
It could be. He's had a couple different projects that have started and just haven't come to fruition. But it will be something at some point. But I mean, we can put plans as far as what we want, but we really don't have a lot of control over that piece of property. Which obviously is a privacy.
We need to talk about putting those areas for different things like voting areas. Can you do that through zoning? In other words, when somebody buys a piece of property, they're zoned for certain things, right? So they say, well, you can only put something to do with boats here, or you can only put a restaurant here.
No, I think the idea is more, it could be an overlay zoning district. So currently your historic district is an overlay to the underlying regulations. So it could be that, or it could be something even higher level, more policy based, where you're basically creating a town-wide plan that says this is the historic area, this is our entertainment area, this is our harbor and restaurant area, or whatever it may be that you all decide, and so that your policies are there to support any decision in any development proposals that come through, rather than regulating only restaurants here and only, whatever use it might be here.
I think it'd be really hard for us to really define those districts as you look the way development's gonna happen. So I think we'd be possibly misleading people that this is gonna be this district, because then when someone comes in with a good plan that's not quite there, we're likely to move forward. So I'm hesitant to suggest we district these things out.
And that's a yes, absolutely. Another way to think of it might just be marketing. You just keep stepping it back from regulation. How are you marketing this area? What's the story you're telling? How are you attracting investors? All right, the last map we worked on had to do with public access and recreation.
Before we leave the development.
Yes, you may.
Here's another question. Parking is a real problem during the season. And is there any way that one of these areas could provide satellite parking with, the golf cart rental and maybe a trolley service to provide other connections other than cars into the historic district, as well as providing parking for the development that occurs in this area?
Yes, so just to repeat that, I think you all probably heard it, but the question was, is there a way to provide parking in this area, satellite parking, and then potentially a trolley that runs folks through the town, or allows them to get a golf cart rental through the town, so really limiting the impact of cars to the town. And the answer is yes, if that is something that the community prioritizes, and is also something that we've discussed today. I think discussed it with some folks here at the meeting tonight, and also earlier this afternoon. So it's definitely something that seems like it has some traction and is worth exploring. So the final, again, public access and recreation. This is the map that showed kind of generally where the rail line easement was, where these pedestrian or bicycle or non-vehicular access points might be to the site, and asked a series of questions about prioritizing access and use and improvements to those areas. The first had to do with this green area, which is showing the rail easement, and basically asking, understanding that we can't put vertical development in this area, what would be most appropriate. And so we had the option of trails, public parking, parks and recreation, and other. And I think all of these, based on the responses that you all wrote up here, really had some traction. All of these seem like they have some value to you all. I do think I like this answer here under other art installations, which is part and parcel to a park space, and I think that it's really lovely. Restrooms, everyone needs a restroom. And then street. So yeah, vehicular access is also something to consider through this easement area. Anyone who commented on these potential uses want to add something for the benefit of the group?
Your green outline up there, that's not to scale.
No, it is not to scale. We got that question. Every person that looked at that map. If you want to see the to-scale easement, you go to this pink map in the back. The orange area is that easement area. The green is just generally showing you the area. And the next question here was, where in this study area do you think public open space and plazas would be most appropriate? Creating a waterfront board park had a lot of traction, as well as extending the plaza at Strawberry Street. And then we also had a few folks saying, another plaza, particularly at Peach, since Peach is already a boulevard, meaning it's got a median and then 2 travel lanes down the side. There's some logic to extending that. I think all of those make a lot of sense, and it's not an either or answer, right? It may be something where all or some or part of them get incorporated into the plan. Does anyone want to comment on anything in particular related to extending these plazas and open spaces?
When you say a waterfront boardwalk, are you just referring to, like in New Jersey where I grew up, boardwalk was 50 feet deep or so. It seemed that way when I was a child, and had all kinds of stores and places with chocolate covered bananas and all sorts of things. Are you referring to that type of thing or just a walkway?
So, and really the question is up to you all, right? What does that mean to you? We know that there's the community trail that had been planned for coming down Bay Street and coming into the site, hugging the waterfront. We know that the water is a valuable asset to the community. So how do we preserve that, and what does that look like? Is it banana stands along the waterfront, or is it more like green space and open space? So if anyone wants to answer that question for me, I would be very happy. All right. Let's see. The next question was recreation types, kind of generally what kinds of recreation, and these kind of are part and parcel with questions that were answered in these other questions. I do like the addition of picnic benches, this idea of creating these moments where you don't have to have a program. You can just sit down and have your picnic. That's really nice. Connected walk, bike, trails, a dog park. That's something that we've heard already, and then shade pavilions. I think that's also important. So all things that I think kind of, like I said, are part of kind of the answers that we've heard already and can be explored. The last one is, where would you like to see path and trail connections to the harbor? And this was specifically related to currently planned or potentially planned trails. So the community trail, A, up here, B, the rail trail project, and then C, this potential for golf cart or pedestrian connection down to the Bay Creek community. And I think there's, from what I can see from your responses, pretty consistent support for really all of these projects, making sure that this study area really serves as a connected hub between kind of both sides of the town. So anyone else have any additions to that conversation? Any questions that they would like to ask for the benefit of the group? We're almost done, I promise. I know you're all tired. Another question online?
I'm hoping that there'd be an opportunity really to develop, water recreation, charter fishing and boat rentals and things like that. And it would be a natural place to do that.
Yeah. Did you all hear that? So his comment was that there's opportunity for, or we'd like to see the opportunity for water recreation, boat rentals, those other kinds of recreation opportunities, not just land-based recreation. Okay. Jack, were there any written comments, online comments, or questions I need to answer? No questions? Okay. All right. Well, then we are at our time. I will just remind you all that you have homework. You need to take this survey. You need to take the flyer and take it to your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers and have them fill out the survey. There will be future public engagement opportunities coming up in the spring, and the town website listed at the bottom is the best place to get information when those are scheduled. So make sure you follow that, you follow Facebook groups, pay attention. We'll be doing this again in a couple of months. So thank you all so much for your time.
So again, we have a QR code that's being shown up on the screen. We've got these for you to take home. Take bunches. You can hand out to everybody who wasn't here